Cornish wrestling, Cornish, Omdol Kernek, is a form of wrestling which has been established in Cornwall, a county in southwest England for several centuries. It is similar to the Breton Gallian wrestling style. The referee is known as a stickler, and it is claimed that the popular meaning of the word as a pedant originates from this usage. It is colloquially known as wrestling in the Cornish dialect. The wrestlers in the Cornish style both wear tough jackets enabling them to gain better grip on their opponent. All holds are taken upon the other wrestler's jacket, grabbing of the wrists or fingers is forbidden as well as any holding below the waist. Although all holds are to be taken upon the jacket, the flat of the hand is allowed to be used to push or deflect an opponent. The objective of Cornish wrestling is to throw your opponent and make him land as flat as possible on his back. 3 sticklers, referees, watch and control each bout whilst also recording down the score of points achieved in play. 4 pins are located on the back of the wrestler, 2 at the back of each shoulder and 2 either side just above the buttocks. If a wrestler manages to throw his opponent flat onto his back, simultaneously scoring with all 4 pins, they score 4 points in that single throw, and this is called a back, to which the bout is then finished and the throwing wrestler is the winner. The sticklers will each raise their sticks when they perceive a back has been achieved. If 2 sticklers raise their sticks but one does not, a back is still awarded. The Cornish Wrestling Association was formed in 1923 to standardize the rules and to promote Cornish wrestling throughout Cornwall and indeed worldwide. Cornish wrestling has a long history, and Geoffrey of Monmouth suggests Historia Regum Britanniae, of c. 1139 that Quirinius wrestled a Cornish giant, Gog Magog or Gomagot, upon the cliff top known as Lam Gomagot. The earliest written evidence for wrestling in the West Country comes from the 1590 poem entitled Polyolbion by Michael Drayton, concerning the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. It states that the Cornish men who accompanied Henry V into battle held a banner of 2 Cornish wrestlers in a hitch. Cornish, Devon and Breton wrestlers have long taken part in inter-Celtic matches since at least 1402, and these still occasionally continue. In early times Cornish and Devonian wrestlers often had matches against each other, though the rules they followed were not the same. One of these was the notable match between Richard Parkin and the Devonian Jordan. In the 17th century, historian Richard Carew wrote of Cornish wrestling. Wrestling is as full of manliness, more delightful and less dangerous, than hurling. For you shall hardly find an assembly of boys in Devon and Cornwall, where the most untowardly amongst them will not as readily give you a muster of this exercise as you are prone to require it. Sir Thomas Parkins, 1662–1741, known as the Wrestling Baronet, was a devotee of wrestling and organized an annual wrestling match in Bunny Park, prize a gold-laced hat. These matches continued until 1810. His book on the subject, The In Play, or, The Cornish Hug Wrestler, was published in 1713 and reprinted many times. A contest at Bodmin in 1811 attracted 4,000 spectators, but thereafter interest in the sport waned. The Cornish Wrestling Association was formed in 1923. In 1927 William Tregunning Hooper, Brosweiglin, agreed with the Breton Dr. Cotonac of Quimper that there should be annual wrestling tournaments in which both Cornish and Breton wrestlers would compete. In the 1970s Truro Cathedral School was teaching Cornish wrestling as part of its physical education program and was the only school in Cornwall to do so. Events since 2000, Ashley Cawley, son of Jerry Cawley, a well-known champion Cornish wrestler, is the current, 2005, heavyweight champion of Cornwall. Ashley Cawley defended his title, heavyweight champion of Cornwall, for the first time in 2006. The tournament was hosted at Lostwithiel on the 16th of July, and the final of the tournament was a monumental bout between Ashley and Darren Richardson lasting an hour long. Ashley finally beat Darren on first one to touch ground. The following Sunday, 23 July, an inter-Celtic tournament took place at Wadebridge, where a team of wrestlers from Brittany came over to Cornwall to challenge the Cornish champions in relevant classes. Just a week on, Ashley Cawley, still bearing injuries from the heavyweight tournament, took on his opponent from Brittany and won, becoming the inter-Celtic and heavyweight champion of 2006. Cornish wrestling at the Royal Cornwall Show. The Cornish Wrestling Association, CWA, still features annually at the Royal Cornwall Agricultural Show. The Cornish wrestling tent can be found in the countryside area very near to the west entrance. In the Cornish wrestling tent you will find an impressive display of Cornish wrestling trophies, belts, history, photos, books and DVDs. The wrestlers perform demonstrations of their style in the countryside ring, usually twice a day for each of the 3 days of the show. The demonstrations feature most of the throws and moves of the Cornish style and also feature demonstration bouts, usually with a variety of wrestlers from youngsters, girls, lightweights and heavyweights. Outside Cornwall, Cornish wrestling is Cornwall's oldest sport, and as Cornwall's native tradition it has travelled the world to places like Victoria, Australia and Grass Valley, California following the miners and gold rushes. In the city of Grass Valley, the tradition of singing Cornish carols lives on, and Street Perrins Day celebrations are held every year, which along with carol singing, includes a flag-raising ceremony, games involving the Cornish pasty, and Cornish wrestling competitions.